more of a coffee person, more of a wine person? Like, do you actually like having a whole book in your hand versus do you actually enjoy reading? Bring a water bottle with you. Bring dry snacks. I'm not a true bookworm. You heard it here first, guys. Hi, my name is Adriana, and today I will be taking some BuzzFeed reading quizzes. It's been a pretty busy week for me, and I haven't been able to do a lot of reading, and I just haven't really felt inspired to film any sort of book tag or book review or whatever else. So I thought it might be kind of fun just to sit down and do something a little more chill, a little more informal. I got a nice little glass of wine here, something just kind of cozy. It rained today, so this seems perfect. I thought it might be fun to go through and do some BuzzFeed book quizzes. I've seen some other creators do this before, and it's always a bunch of fun. So I have my iPad here with BuzzFeed pulled up and 17 quizzes for huge bookworms. I don't know if I'd be a self-prescribed huge bookworm, but I am a moderate bookworm. So I will be sure to put up my screen here so you can follow along with me on the quizzes. So let's pop it up and look through some of these and decide which one I want to do. Are you obsessed with books? Let's see. How does this photo make you feel? I mean, it makes me feel like I want to go do that. I want to go curl up in bed right now with a book. I'm going to say that's mediumly strong. Ooh, that's a lot of books. That makes me very happy. They also look very old. I'm gonna say that's another I like that. That gets me excited because that looks like a garage sale and I'ma find a lot of books for real cheap. Ooh, that looks so pretty. Oh, I love all the color coordination. I love color coordination. I know at some point I'm gonna have to reorganize my bookshelf to, be by series and genre, but right now I'm really loving the rainbow aesthetic. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. This is another one where it's this looks like some sort of sale. Looks like I'm getting a lot of books for real cheap. Ugh. I love reading on a beach. I'm actually not that big of a beach person or a water person in general. I much prefer a city vacation, exploring a new city or camping, but there is nothing that beats reading on a beach. Oh, this looks like a cute little bookstore. It's more neutral on that one though. It's not really hitting me in the feels the way some of these other ones have. Oh my goodness, that's so many paperbacks. Again, not as many feels as the other ones. Oh my goodness. These books are so old. I love old books. There's something different about an old book. Oh, interesting. It's like a drop tile ceiling, but books. Is this supposed to be some sort of commentary on e-readers taking over books? I don't get it. Strong emotions of rage. Do people actually... I know people have preferences over reading real books over e-readers, but I don't think there's anybody out there who's really that upset about people reading on e-readers. All of the readers I've met are just happy that people are reading. I'm gonna put I feel nothing because I don't like this one. Ooh, a library. I haven't been to a library IRL in so long because I typically only use my public library for the Libby app. So I borrow ebooks and audiobooks and stuff from them, but I haven't been to an actual real life library since probably college. Oh, that makes me kind of sad. But yeah, no, love a library. Ooh, these are so pretty. Oh, that's a gorgeous library as well. And it feels cozy. It's fitting with the vibes today. I'm just very cozy, very dark colors. This is a fleece. I'm feeling very cozy. Be better if my dog were here to help me feel cozy, but he got too hot and he went to go lay on the ground. Ugh, yes, I do. That looks like tea. More of a coffee person, more of a wine person. But yes, tea is nice as well. I think this picture would make me feel more if it were actually focused on the books. I'm not this artsy. I'm gonna put that mild. Alright, done. I am book obsessed. This was a bit different than I thought it was gonna be. This was just reacting to pictures, not really anything about books. Ooh, only bookworms have done at least 24 out of 36 of these things. Let's see how many of these things I have done. So far, the last one seemed to be more like, are you obsessed with the physicality of a book? And I wonder if these are going to be the same. Like, it seems like, and some of the videos I've watched in the past, they seem to be more geared towards, like, do you actually like having a whole book in your hand versus do you actually enjoy reading? But let's see what this one does. Had a book hangover where you didn't feel ready to read a new book because you were still emotionally... Yep, Scorpion's Tale did that to me hard. Felt obliged to keep reading a book despite having found it boring. On multiple occasions. I'm a completionist at heart. I'm so bad at DNFing. I've DNF'd like 2 books, I think, in like my entire life. Brought a book to a party or any other social event just in case. If I'm going to a social event, like I don't typically do stuff that I don't want to go out and do. So like if I'm going to a social event, it's because I want to be there and I want to interact with the people who are going to be there. So I don't think I've ever actually brought a book to like a party or anything. Hold up, we might try to go get an Xbox. Anyways. So no, I don't think I've ever brought a book to a party or a social event, because if I'm going to a social event, it's because I want to be there. If I don't want to be there and I just want to stay home and read, I'm just going to stay home and read. Seriously consider joining a book club. I have joined a book club. I've joined the Shelf This book club, hosted by Is Bailey Reading, and I'm very much enjoying it. I've introduced myself to some books I otherwise wouldn't have read. So yes. Actually joined or started a book club. Okay, yeah, there we go. Set yourself a reading target at the beginning of every year. Or at the beginning of the year. Yes, I did my Goodreads goal this year, which is 30, which I'm already almost done with because I discovered what audiobooks are. So I think my actual goal is probably going to be closer to 60. Exceeded your reading target before the year was over. I actually haven't done that yet because I didn't meet my goal last year and I haven't quite met my goal this year, so I cannot check that one off. But I will get there probably in the next few weeks. Spent over half an hour browsing a bookshop. Oh my goodness. I think my mom, my sister, and I went on a girls' weekend trip, and I think we spent like 3 to 4 hours in a bookstore together. I went to Portland one time in college for a school field trip, and I think I probably spent 5 hours, 6 hours in Powell's books. So yes, well over half an hour. Yep, spent over an hour. Brought more than 2 books on a short trip. I don't know what a short trip means, but I mean, I went camping last weekend and brought... My Kobo has like a bunch of books on it, so anytime I bring that, I'm bringing more than 2 books, but purposefully had brought like basically 4 books with me for a weekend trip, which was insane because there was no way I was gonna do that much reading. Spend ages deliberating over which books to take on holiday with you. Again, because I have my e-reader, I don't really have to take that into account. I can bring a bunch of books with me if I want. And then gotten more books at the airport anyway. I don't think I've ever bought books in an airport before. I've bought books while I've been on vacation, but I think going through the airport, I mean, everything in an airport is so jacked up in price. Like, it's not worth buying anything in an airport. Bring a water bottle with you. Bring dry snacks. Like, it's not hard. Sniffed an old book. Yes. Sniffed a new book. Yes. Been bitterly disappointed by the movie version of a book you like. I'm trying to think, like, oh yeah, Divergent. Yeah. Because normally I'm not that critical of like media in general. I've become a little more critical of like books and stuff that I'm reading, especially since it's such a heavy time investment. But like movies, it's like hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours of your life, like whatever. If it's not that great, just don't watch it again. Like, it's not worth being super disappointed over, but I was kind of disappointed about Divergent because I really liked that book. Avoided watching an adaptation just so it wouldn't sully the memory of the book for you. I don't think so. I mean, I've waited to watch an adaptation until I've read the book, but I don't think I've ever purposefully not watched a movie because I didn't want it to ruin the book. I'm pretty good about separating that stuff in my brain. Judge someone for organizing their books aesthetically rather than practically. No, because I organize my books aesthetically. Run out of space for all your books. Yes. Growing up, I had to do a lot of shuffling and book unhauling. Do you want to come up? There we go. He's gonna join us now. Yeah, so not since I've like reintroduced myself into reading after college and stuff. I've still have plenty of space to keep accumulating. And now that, you know, I'm a big kid with a salary, I can just keep buying bookshelves. I can just keep buying space, you know? It. I'll buy a bigger house. Ran out of space for all your books, so had to stack them on the floor or wedged horizontally into, yep, dreamed of having a library at home. My boyfriend doesn't even read, and he wants a library in our house. So, I think that's just a common thing. Like, libraries are just legit. Stayed up till 3 a.m. so you could finish a book. I didn't stay up till 3 a.m. because I'm definitely an early to bed person. But last weekend, I stayed up till probably 11 p.m. to finish a book. That's about as late as I will stay up. So I'm gonna say yes, but more so like relatively 3 a.m. because I normally am in bed by like 9. So in relative terms, staying up till 11 is like staying up till 3 a.m. for a normal person. Been so immersed in reading a book on a bus or train that you've missed your stop. I live in a place without public transportation, so I've never really done that, no. Felt so disappointed by a book's ending that you've ranted about it to someone. Yes, I did that with 1984, even though I love that book. And I also ranted about Brave New World on this channel. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I hate when Brave New World occupies space in my brain. Looked up online to see if, yep. Struggled to come up with a definitive answer when someone asked you what your all-time favorite book is. I think anytime you ask someone what their all-time favorite anything is a very difficult thing. Even like all-time favorite shirt. Well, what's the weather? Like, I mean, and especially art. It's hard to ask somebody's all-time favorite art piece. So, yeah, I think anybody would struggle with coming up with their all-time favorite book. Been moved to tears because a character you loved died. I don't think I've ever cried about characters dying. No, I'm usually more like moved to tears, like happy tears when it comes to like a family relationship bonding or like stuff like that. I'm more of a happy tear person than I am a sad tear person. Gotten upset towards the end of a good book because you didn't want the journey to be over. Yes. Seen someone reading a book you like in public and wanted to strike up a conversation with them about it. I don't think I've ever done that with a book, but I have done that with someone wearing a KTM hat. Had a bookshop loyalty card. No, but my family had so much credit at the used bookstore that they didn't even bother keeping track anymore. So we kind of just had like a revolving, you know, like one of those like little neighborhood, like little libraries. That was basically the used bookstore for me and my family. We'd bring in so many books and then take a lot of books out, and then it was just a carousel. Ended up on an emotional roller coaster because the cover and blurb of a book you bought were actually very misleading. I go into books super blind with no expectations. So I've never been like disappointed if a cover, and I typically don't read blurbs. So I more kind of go off of hype or recommendations from like my dad or my friends. So I've never really been disappointed by my expectations of a book because I've never really had expectations for books. Bought multiple editions of a book because the covers were so nice. I don't know if I have multiple editions of any book. Yeah, I don't think so. I need to buy another edition of my mythology book soon though, before it gets impossible to find, because that thing is falling apart. Reread the same book over and over again instead of starting a new one you bought more recently. I'm not a huge rereader. I don't reread a lot of books. I think I'd like to start rereading some more books because I think I have good reading comprehension, but as soon as I finish a book, like the whole plot just ejects from my brain. and it's gone forever. So I can basically reread a book and be like totally surprised by everything again. Owned a tote bag or badge proclaiming your love of books? Nope. Felt nervous lending someone a book in case it gets ruined? I mean, I guess I've never been concerned about someone ruining my books. Like if it comes back like dog-eared or like a little bit of water damage, as long as it's still like readable, I'm not gonna be that upset about it. And I would imagine if like my friends and my family, if they actually destroyed a book to the point where you can no longer read it, I would hope that they would offer to pay for it. Liked someone 100 times more after finding out they enjoyed a book you recommended to them. Oh, yes, that is like the best, most like validating feeling is when you recommend someone a book and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, this was incredible. And you're like, yes, I knew it. I knew you would like it. Show me my results. Oh no! I only made 23 of the 36 things. I'm not a true bookworm. You heard it here first, guys. How odd are your opinions about books? Let's see. Your favorite genre. Young adult is not a genre. It's an audience. You can have a young adult version of any of these genres. Let's see. I am kind of curious. I think at my mid-year wrap-up, I really want to get into what my favorite genre actually is, like compare my ratings of certain books within a genre and see which genre I typically rate the highest. But I think for now, my favorite genre is thriller. Like spy thriller, detective thriller, like I talk about James Rowland's and the Pendergast series a lot, and those are technically thrillers. Like that's my favorite kind of thriller. I also love a good mystery. I really, really enjoyed the Inheritance games. So mystery thriller, I think is my favorite. See, if they didn't put young adult on there and just said like whatever else, I think this would be a little more valid. How do you prefer to consume your books? Ooh, I'm like pretty evenly split on like all three of these. I do enjoy reading a good, just turning pages, and I also really love audiobooks. Like I've been listening to so many great audiobooks lately, but I think I'm gonna have to go with e-readers. I like being able to sit down, do nothing else, and like physically read something, but the e-reader is just so much more convenient and not as like awkward to hold, so I'm gonna go e-reader. That makes sense to me. I think a lot of people who would be taking this quiz are probably a book person. How often do you read? I mean, my goal by the end of the year is like 60 books, so that would be about like a book a week. That's about where I am, and that seems to be pretty common. I mean, definitely you're gonna get some bias in the type of person that takes this quiz, because I would say the general population is probably not reading a book a week. How many books do you read at a time? So typically I'm reading one physical book and then listening to one audiobook. So I'm like generally reading like 2 books at a time. So the 2 to 3 books. Book or movie? Usually the book, but there have been some great movie adaptations. I think that's true. I think, you know, especially with like TV shows getting on the bandwagon. Why do you read? For fun and pleasure, and also to learn something new, but mostly for fun. I mean, even if I am learning something, I'm usually having fun learning something. So where do you get your books? I think I'm still a majority of my books from the library, but I think since I've learned that my boyfriend wants to have a library in our house, I'm gonna start buying a lot more physical books, but for now I think it's still mostly the library. How many books do you own? I think I'm probably... I don't exactly know how many books I have. I'm gonna say around 100 to like be safe. Because I mean, it's definitely more than 10. I have like basically that whole bookshelf. So I'm gonna say around 100. Oh wow, most people have, well, interesting. It's like you have like 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. Every so often, I guess. My idea of too late is definitely different than most people's up too late. Finally, would you call yourself a book lover? This is a weird one. Sometimes these like question answers are just like really strange. But I mean, I like books, but I do have like a job and other hobbies and a family and a dog. So like they're not my whole life. They're just a nice part of my life. All right. So it seems to be that I was like the second or third option. My book opinions are fairly lukewarm. No hot takes over here. Only lukewarm takes. Alright, well this was fun. I kind of liked just sitting and chilling and vibing. So I hope this is as fun to watch as it was to film. But thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video.